What's up guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm Justin Davis and today I'm going to give you the real deal on the Betafpv Advanced Flying FPV Racing Whoop Kit. This is everything you need in a box. It's around $200. And in this review, I'm going to give you something to bring home. If you're trying to make a purchase, I'm going to help you out in this review. Try to decide which RTF to go for, which one might be the best value for the money. We're going to talk about prices, starting out with this one. This one is $199 on Betafpv's website, betafpv.com. They also have a version, it's called the starter version. It is around $129. This one is a 75mm brushless whoop with a 1S battery. It's going to be a 1S 450 that comes along. You get two in the box along with your radio transmitter and your goggles with a DVR on there so you can record all your flight videos, which is pretty cool. It also has this diversity antennas on here. It has, I believe, around 48 channels, 5 different bands. You have an auto search function on here, which is really cool. Power on and off. And it has an internal battery so you can charge it up with the USB cable that comes in the box. Now the transmitter that you get with it, it is the light version, but it can bind up to other sort of same style light flight controllers, which is cool. This has a built-in receiver in it. It has a bind button on the back. It has two 3-position switches. It has a turtle mode, which is gonna, if your copter's upside down, you wanna flip the drone back over, you flip into turtle mode, hit the power switch again, power up, and it'll flip it over, turn off turtle mode, and then you can resume normal flying, which is a cool feature. If you're in tall grass, it won't work so well, but on flat hardwood floors, it works great. Now the 1S 450 that's in this box that comes along with it will get you over 5 minutes flight time. It also has another 3-position switch on here that is an advanced flight mode switch. It will take you from stability mode, which is great for beginners, and then it'll take you into Acro Mode. And it also has custom PIDs from Betafpv on here, which also you can get inside and change around the PIDs. Now the PIDs, the PIDs, we talk about these in other videos on my channel, but don't go into those and start changing those because you might mess up the tune on here. And the tune is actually quite good. We're gonna talk about the tune versus some of the other RTFs out there. We have the Tiny Hawk 2 RTF, which is the direct competitor to this one. This one is around $200, but it is quite good. We're gonna talk about the pros and cons about this kit. The first thing that I think, and versus the Tiny Hawk 2, which is around $169 on Emacs USA's website, this one comes without a USB port on the bottom of the quad. So there is no Betaflight. You can't plug this into Betaflight and update your firmware. That's the biggest bummer about this one for beginners that want to get familiar with Betaflight. It's going to take you longer to do that, and you're going to need a different quad to do it. So one reality check with this RTF. Now the Tiny Hawk 2 series does come with Betaflight, and it has a beginner tune on there. And right away I noticed that this one is a little more advanced feeling in the Acro Mode. It's not quite as soft on the controls, it's a little faster and it flips quicker. So you might have more room to grow with the tune that's on this one. But if you want something that's gonna be more subtle and for the beginner mode, in stability mode, I find that it flies probably a little more stable through the smaller proximity gaps. If you're trying to go up through trees and do some canopy exploration and play around outside in your yard, the Tiny Hawk 2 is great for that. This one is based on the Meteor 75 frame, so this one is going to be a bit of a speed demon in the higher end of the throttle. So this is a very fast quad on the high end of the throttle. The Meteor 75 on my channel did really good for advanced flyers. And it will do some mild freestyle, but most importantly, when you want to slow it down, you can. The next biggest thing in comparison to the Tiny Hawk 2 RTF is that this transmitter, the Light Series 2 transmitter, is way better than the Tiny Hawk 2 transmitter. The Tiny Hawk 2 transmitter doesn't have the same gimbal sticks. This feels more like a traditional style gimbal in my bigger radios in my hand. So this one gives you that simulated big radio feel, which the Tiny Hawk 2 does not. But aside from all the cool extras that you get in the box, you do get a little charger that is a 2-up charger. You can plug in 2 of these batteries that you got. And these have the BT 2.0 connectors on the end. These are sort of rounded, flat on one side and rounded around the other. It has a positive and negative connection. Very simple to charge. You just plug it into the wall adapter and you're off and charging. Probably gonna charge up those batteries in about 20 minutes time per battery. Now also, I think that the case that came along with this is actually pretty decent. It is all canvas on the exterior. It has a nice zipper, a rubber grip handle for carrying, and it has really nice zipper handles as well. And inside the box, I had no problem fitting all of this gear inside the box for transport. So everything you need to fly all in one box for 200 bucks. But at the end of the day, what does it fly like? Let's go outside now and let's do some flying. And I'll show you both different modes on here. We'll show you beginner mode, which is stability mode, and then I'll show you advanced acro mode for light freestyle. And we'll do some ripping around in the house as well. Here we go. Okay guys, let's go ahead and let's do the flight test. We're gonna get this up in the air. We're gonna start out in level mode so you guys can see how well it flies in level mode. And I'm gonna show you some crashes and some general banging around. Now the cool thing about this quad is that if you are a beginner and you do hit things, the quad bounces off hard objects pretty nicely and doesn't take a lot of damage. I haven't broken a prop with this quad since I've been flying it. It's actually pretty hard to break a prop. You've got 40mm props on here with a 1.5mm shaft, just in case you need to know what size you need to order. Make sure that you don't order 1mm shaft size props because they won't fit. But it seems to do pretty well. High up, I am running 25 milliwatt. I believe that's the max you can run, so there was some bit of breakup, but I'm also standing with the house between me and the video transmitter. So keep that in mind. If you fly behind objects or around your house, you might have some breakup with the goggles that come with this RTF kit. The antennas can also be upgraded. If you want to buy some better antennas, I'll put some links down below to Foxeer Echo patch antenna and also a Lollipop 3. And that's going to give you way better penetration for your video. And by penetration, I mean being able to get through solid objects and just give you a better signal altogether. But flying around in the level mode, which is also known as stability mode in Betaflight, is very reliable. And again, it's faster than the Tiny Hawk 2 RTF or the original Tiny Hawk. But the advantage of the Tiny Hawk 2 is that it is softened up for the beginner. It's not quite as aggressive and quick on the sticks. And guys, this is the Meteor 75 quad. So when I originally reviewed this one, to begin with, it was a fast quad. The 6.5 version is pretty fast. It is a little bit slower for indoors, more precise flying, but the 7.5 handles better outside in a little more weather conditions. Now here's turtle mode, and we can go ahead and flip the switch, and on carpet it works great. It's just going to flip you back over, and you have to disarm and then rearm again and turn turtle mode off to get back to your flight mode. Now I'm in acro mode now, and you guys can sort of see how this quad does in acro. Nice tight quick flips, which are super impressive. And right here I'm inside, so you're going to see a little bit of breakup here. Now I flew both the goggles that come with the quad and my custom SkyZone 030s, which are my go-to goggles. Those are pretty much my daily goggles that I use, even over Fat Sharks. I prefer these. The DVR in these is better than the stock DVR that comes along with the quad. And also, the penetration on this setup is way better than the stock antennas. The stock antennas are dipoles, and they're not that great. So you definitely want to upgrade those at least if you're not going to buy goggles. That should be the first thing you do when you're buying some new batteries. You want to get some extra batteries and some better goggle antennas. So my biggest recommendations for you guys that are just getting into FPV. And you're going to put a Lollipop 3 on one side and your Echo patch antenna on the other side, and that'll just give you much better reception. And again, super tight rolls and flips, looking really good. And now I'm showing you horizon mode, and horizon mode will let you fly and still do flips, but also give you back to level. So after you do a flip, it'll kind of bring the quad back to level. But when you get to a certain point, it will flip and roll. So keep that in mind for horizon mode. Now, I was able to get back over in the grass with this quad. So the prop cards work pretty good for turtle mode in the grass. You want to be careful in the grass because if there's a stick, maybe on one prop, you can burn up your ESC. So be careful about that. And now I'm over the 4-minute flight time mark, which is great, especially since I've been ripping around super fast. Guys that are just getting into this, you guys are probably going to get over 5 minutes flight time with one of the 1S 450 batteries. So that's pretty good. And these batteries are cheap, guys. They're not super expensive, so get yourself a handful of these batteries and fly as much as you want and practice acro mode before you get something big. I had a good time with this quad. All right, guys, welcome back from the flight test. That was cool. This little guy is, in my opinion, probably the RTF out there that you can kind of grow into more so than something like the Tiny Hawk 2. This has more freestyle capability in acro mode. So if you're looking for a sort of a real world simulated acro trainer, this one is a pretty good deal for that. The Tiny Hawk 2, however, is going to be more user-friendly for beginners getting into it. A lot of people that get into it do a lot of what I call stick banging. They do a lot of heavy stick controls. And since the tune on the Tiny Hawk 2 is softened up, it has a lot of room for errors with the sticks. Now, this one, on the other hand, you're going to probably crash more in the very beginning because it is faster, it's extremely nimble, and when you flip into acro mode for the first time, honestly, you're probably just going to crash right away because it's just going to lose all that stability and you're going to go flying into the ground. And that generally happens, but the best thing for acro, if you go way up in the air, not too high, guys, but higher than your house, for example, and flip into acro there, you're going to have a lot more airspace between you and the ground. And honestly, about 40 feet up with a little tiny whoop, feels like you're 100 feet in the air. It's actually pretty cool. So you have less chance of crashing when you flip into acro mode a little higher up. But honestly, we don't really fly these up around 100 feet anyway. It's just, it can get lost really easily, but it does have a beeper on here as well. So if you crash off into the trees, you can flip the beeper switch and it will start beeping, and hopefully you can go find your quad. But I think that the flight times on this are good. I think that this one might be fairly durable as far as this frame. It is reinforced underneath the prop guards. There's some extra struts underneath here, which I like. And the canopy on top is ABS plastic. It is not like a lot of my prototypes that I've got in the past that have broke on me. This one is most likely not going to break on you. But overall, I like the bundle. And I think for the price, it's actually pretty good. So I'll leave it up to you guys to decide which one you want to go for, the Tiny Hawk 2 RTF or the Betafpv Advanced, or even the starter kit. The starter one from Betafpv is a 65 millimeter frame, and this one's a 75 millimeter frame. So what's the difference? 65 is just a little bit smaller, and honestly, it's going to fly a little bit better indoors for you in smaller spaces. So just also a little bit quieter. So if you have some crazy neighbors, you're not going to disturb them with the 65 millimeter version. I'll put all the links down below, guys, and you can make the choice based on my opinion. There you have it. Another video in the books, guys. Thanks again for watching. I'm Justin Davis. Have fun, guys. Be safe out there, and I'll see you on the next one. Please subscribe.